Love knows no bounds, and who knows that better than Sino, who has been separated from his childhood sweetheart Janu for 14 years, 3 months and 17 days. To Sino, it doesn't matter that they were just children when they met. He knows in his heart that they are soulmates, and no matter what happens, he is meant to be with her. Every day without fail, Sino starts jogging from his home to reach the bench at the Ram Krishna signal, exactly at 7:30. This is because he has never forgotten the promise he made to Janu, that every morning at 7:30 he'd wait here. Sino feels all alone in this world and believes no one can understand him except Janu. Her presence alone meant everything to him. His longing is interrupted by his ringing phone. He picks up the call, and the caller tells him that the Uber he had ordered has arrived at the location. Sino starts telling him that he never ordered an Uber when he hears a beautiful violin melody. It is the melody he composed for Janu when they were just kids. No one but Sino and Janu know this melody. He asks the driver not to cut the call and asks him where he is, because finally, after so many years, he has a shot at finding Janu. The driver is about to answer when a thief snatches Sino's phone out of his hand. Sino looks to see the thief running away and chases after him. Chasing him through streets and over rooftops, the thief leads him all the way to a subway station. The thief boards a train and Sino jumps in the nearest cabin as well. But this was a bad move, because the cabins are separated by a glass door. The thief smirks at him, but Sino pays no mind. He gives the thief all his money and tells him he can keep the money and the phone. All he needs is the number of the last received call. The thief is very dumbfounded at his request. He asks if Sino will let him go once he gives him the number. Sino promises not to take any action. The man takes out the phone to narrate the number. The thief is just 4 digits in when the train pulls to a stop and he bolts. Sino chases him again. He gets a hold of the thief's shirt, but it just rips. Through the rips, he glimpses very familiar scars on the thief's back. The scars remind him of a bully named Pandu he knew when he was a kid. Sino takes a shortcut and intercepts the thief. He searches his pockets for his phone, but finds only one phone that isn't his. His phone is nowhere to be found, and he asks the thief where the phone is. The thief replies that he never even had his phone. As soon as he had snatched the phone from Sino, he handed it to his partner. Sino didn't notice the partner and only ran after the thief. Sino is very angry and asks the thief why he is always trying to ruin things for him. Sino calls him by his name, and he is shocked. Sino tells him how when they were kids, Pandu stole his money, and because of him, he got into an accident at the Ram Krishna signal. This event changed his life. Back when Sino was a 12-year-old little boy, he was an orphan who had no one in the world to take care of him. He would sleep on a tree where he had a net set up and had only 2 blankets. In the morning, he would play the tunes of popular Bollywood songs at the Ram Krishna signal. Sino was very talented, and he would fiddle away the days and earn money to survive in this harsh world. Every now and then, he would spend his hard-earned money to buy panipuri from a street vendor near his tree. That is where he first met Janu. She was a beautiful little girl. She always came to get her pani puri at a specific time in the evening. Sino and the vendor thought she was very interesting because she would always ask for the water first. Then she would ask for the puri, but instead of dipping it, she would crunch it into pieces and sprinkle it in the water. All of her quirkiness made her unforgettable. The first time she noticed Sino, she asked him if he knew how to play the ektara he always held. Sino, eager to impress her, played a popular tune. Janu grimaced and shook her head. Sino asked her what was wrong, and Janu told him that he should make his own tunes. Having said her piece, she ran back, saying she was late. Sino started composing a song right away. One day when he met Janu at the stall, Sino noticed that her bangles were gone. He asked her and she told him how she fell and broke her bangles. Sino saves and buys her brand new red bangles. Soon Janu tells her driver to take the Ram Krishna street to school. So every morning she would drop 100 rupees for Sino. One day, she joined Sino up at his tree, and he gifted her the bangles. In return, she told Sino that she could read palms and that he was fated to receive 100 rupees every day if he showed up at the signal at 7:30 a.m. every morning. Sino promises her to be there every day. Innocent Janu is happy to be doing something to make Sino's life better, but not all is as it seems. Seeing the money Sino made daily, the older and stronger street kids would bully him and take his money away. One day, Janu sees him bruised and battered with his ektara broken. She fixes his instrument and brings medicine for his injuries. The two were closer than ever, and anyone who knew them could see the bond they had. But life took a turn for both of them when Janu's father received a transfer letter that sent their whole family to Delhi. Distraught at having to leave Sino, Janu thought about how she could keep him in her life. On her last ride on the Ram Krishna Road, she wrote her mother's number on a 100-rupee note and gave it to Sino. She gestured at him to call her, and Sino nodded. Though this was a good plan, it didn't work because, in the blink of an eye, Pandu had snatched the note out of Sino's hand. Sino chased Pandu across the street but got hit by a car. The woman driving the car, Sarojini, was beside herself and took little Sino to the hospital. There her husband, Prakash, showed up and told her not to worry. He decided to check up on Sino. Sino, bruised and battered, was surrounded by police officers who tried to convince him to ask Sarojini for compensation. Sino, who had a pure heart, only kept asking the police officers if the auntie was all right. The police officers realized that the boy had no mind for matters of money and left him saying he was a lost cause. The inspector, upon noticing Prakash, congratulated him and told him that his Sarojini managed to hit the most pure-hearted street child out there, so they didn't need to pay the child. Sino's innocence impressed the couple, and they gave him a new name, Avinash, and changed his life for the better. They enrolled him in a school and gave him many luxuries he hadn't ever dreamed of. In return, Avinash loved them with all his heart. Though both Janu and Avinash's lives had changed irrevocably, they never forgot each other. Janu waited for Sino's call every day, and every morning at 7:30 a.m. Sino would be found at the Ram Krishna signal waiting for Janu. The first time Sino left home so early, both his adoptive parents were out of their minds with worry. Later, they patiently asked Sino where he went and why. Sino told them everything about Janu, and why he must go to the Ram Krishna signal every day without fail. At the same time, Janu's parents noticed how depressed she was. They asked her why she was so down. She told them all about Sino. Her father used his connections to find out about Sino, but no one knew anything about him. Life went on, and both of them grew up. Janu, now a grown woman, melted her glass bangles to make a single bangle that fit her arm. Since a young age, she had taken violin lessons just so she would never forget the melody Sino wrote for her. In present time, Pandu apologizes to Avinash for his mistakes. He tells him he does not want to hear his apologies. All he wants is the number from the phone. Pandu tells him that's impossible because the phone is now in the hands of smugglers who have a huge business of stolen mobile phones. Avinash doesn't care what he has to face. He sets off with Pandu to the warehouse. The goons there deny his entry and tell him to get lost. Avinash doesn't like that answer and beats the thug at the door. This causes almost all of the goons to try and beat him. Avinash takes them out all by himself until there's only one thug left standing. That last thug asks him for mercy. Avinash asks him where all the phones are, and he tells him that the phones have been shipped off to Delhi 10 minutes ago. Avinash lets out a roar of fury. Terrified for himself, the thug gives Avinash his bike keys and asks to be spared. Avinash hops on the bike and chases down the container. He outwits all the thugs that are after him and manages to get the container to stop. Through the countless phones, he looks for his own. He manages to find it, breathing a sigh of relief, but when he turns it over, he discovers that the screen is broken. In a hurry, Avinash takes his broken phone to a phone repair shop, but the remaining thugs track him down using his location. He puts up a good fight, but as soon as his phone is repaired, he loses focus. He calls the Uber driver and asks him about the person who played the melody. He tells Avinash that a beautiful woman played the melody at the Rockfell Music Festival. This gives Avinash hope that it's Janu who is playing the melody. This distraction arrests Avinash when a thug hits him in the back of the head. He falls down unconscious, and they take him back to the warehouse and tie him up. And it was indeed Janu playing the soulful melody, but the most peculiar thing was that Avinash had already met her a week ago. Janu, who now went by her real name Priya, arrived in Hyderabad to attend her friend's wedding. This was Priya's last chance to find Sino because she was leaving the country very soon. Priya boards her plane from Delhi, and she is by chance seated with Avinash's mother. His mother takes an immediate liking to Priya and talks to her non-stop about everything, especially about her perfect son. As soon as the plane landed, Priya excused herself and got away from the chattering woman. Her friend picked her up from the airport, but on their way the car tire punctured. Their driver was an aged man who went out in the pouring rain to change the tire. Avinash, who was also returning from the airport with his mother, stopped his car and helped the driver. This left an impression on Priya. The next morning on his usual jog, Avinash noticed the street children hopping around in joy. He asked one of them what this was. They tell him that there's a nice lady giving all the kids 100 rupees. That lady is Priya, and Avinash reaches her just when she was all out of cash, and the last boy stood there looking dejected. Avinash gave the boy 100 rupees. Priya recognized him from the airport and the car incident. She thanked him for the help then and now, and they both took a stroll. They talked quite a bit. Afterwards, they part ways after that. Later that evening, Prakash got home from a business trip, greeted his wife, and asked about her trip. She started telling him all about Priya and how she felt like this girl was perfect for Avinash. While she was talking, Prakash noticed that the diamond ring he gifted her for their anniversary was missing. She laughed and told him she used the fake diamond ring to test Priya's honesty by leaving it in her bag. If she returned the ring to her, it meant Priya was just as perfect as she had judged. Prakash went pale with shock as he told Sarojini that the ring was not fake at all. Rather, it was a 50 lakh diamond ring. Both of them had started to panic when the bell rang, and it was Priya who had come to return the ring. Avinash opened the door, and both were surprised to see each other. When she told him why she was here, he put two and two together and teased her about the chattering auntie. Polite to a fault, Priya doesn't want Sarojini to feel bad, so she begs Avinash not to say anything. That was the start of a beautiful friendship. Priya spent the next 5 days in Avinash's company. She invited his family to her friend's wedding as well. They developed a close bond, and both of them were obsessed with each other. But all this stopped when Priya learned about Sino's accident. She is told that after the accident, Sino was never seen again. In her grief, she ignored Avinash and avoided him until the wedding. There, Avinash and Priya had a moment, and Avinash confessed to her his feelings, but Priya ran away. He tried holding on to her, but he accidentally ended up breaking her glass bangle from Sino. Distraught, Priya slapped Avinash and told him to never show his face again. Back in the present, Avinash wakes up bound to a chair with thugs holding him for ransom. He breaks out of the bonds and overtakes the thugs. He rounds them all in a corner, and the boss asks him, why was that last number so important? Was he a drug dealer or a smuggler? Avinash glares at him, and he shuts up. He hurries to the Rockfell Music Festival and finds the stall where the violins are. He asks the vendor about someone who played a violin at the stall, and he replies that there are hundreds of people who come and go. He can't possibly remember them all. He then plays him the melody. Priya, who is also at the festival, hears the melody and tries running towards it, but can't locate where it's from. Avinash, who has found a clue after 14 years, feels helpless at the thought of being so close to finding his soulmate, but losing her because of circumstances. That's when a passing wind miraculously brings a 100-rupee note right to him. Avinash picks it up and can't believe his eyes. It is scribbled with a number, and it looks like the same note Janu had once given him. He calls the number hoping that this will work. Priya picks up the call. He tells her he's Sino, and he's here at the Rockfell Music Festival. Priya tells him she's there too, but before Sino can tell her where he is, her battery dies. Avinash then plays the melody on a violin. Priya runs toward it. Seeing Avinash playing the melody, Priya realizes he is Sino and sobs in relief that she had fallen for Sino all over again. Both of them have finally found each other, and all is well. And there we have it. This was an overview of the captivating 2017 Tamil movie Hello, a thrilling mix of romance and action. The film, directed by Vikram Kumar, leads us through a serendipitous love story wrapped in layers of fate and destiny. Weren't we all surprised by Avinash's relentless pursuit to reconnect with his childhood love, Priya? Despite all the obstacles and years apart, his dedication never wavers. If you've ever experienced such a strong, unyielding love, how did it shape your destiny? Drop your thoughts and experiences in the comments below.